Hey y'all! And welcome to the Sorry Not Sorry Generation podcast, where we bring you a not-so-healthy dose of humor and reality as we get our hands dirty with some serious nostalgia and question everything.
Let's dive in.
Hey y'all!
Hey y'all!
It's Misty.
Bonnie. And Erin.
And
hey, I got it this time.
This week's episode is a little different. It's a little bit...
It's the Misty birthday show!
Yes. It is a Misty birthday show.
It is indeed. I am turning 30 in a couple days, and I don't know how I feel about it. So instead, we're going to eat cake, talk about our 30s, and then talk about D&D. So, because at least one of those things is going to make me happy. So,
I hope it's maybe two.
Not aging. Depends on how the cake is. I don't know yet.
I'm wondering if we should record this follow-up to National Lampoon's stupidity. I have kind of a follow-up because I was talking, well, there's two ways that I got this information. My friend that still works at the evil job.
Okay.
You'll enjoy this part of the conversation that I had with her. And when it's just funny because I found out that a couple of reps still have my name in their signatures this week.
Okay.
It'll be 11 months in a week. I haven't been there.
And they still have her name and title and email in their signature.
Okay. Why?
And then my friend was talking to someone who'd been there less than 2 months before I quit. And this is what Lene said about that conversation. She goes, I just got off the phone with Jean. And she said, when you worked here, our system was flawless and how much she misses me. And I'm like, she misses me? I was there. I'm telling you, it might have been 6 weeks, maybe. By the,
wow.
And 2 of those weeks was me getting ready to bounce. And I'm like, misses me? How?
Why?
And why
is it she hardly worked with me.
Yeah. But for her to specifically say that, I miss Erin and how it worked. And I'm like, okay, fine. But then...
what kind of shit show has it been since, you've been gone?
Apparently a lot.
Wow.
And then Lene also said that she was talking to Crystal, who's also actually quite nice. Because she's one of the staff people, not one of the reps.
Yeah.
And she goes, Lene was talking to Crystal. She says, we were saying how hard you worked and how they made you feel like shit. And I'm like, yes.
It's like, really?
Yes. And she goes, you're the literal definition of you never know what you have till it's gone. I'm like, thank you. Thank you for stroking my ego this week.
It's glad other people have realized this. Thank you.
Yeah. It just took a while. But then in true, just completely unaware of themselves style, so they have an annual meeting every year. That of course the staff doesn't get to go to, but they all get drunk and hook up at the annual meeting.
Lovely.
You don't shit where you eat.
Oh, they do. But then so Janice was the only one that acknowledged that I was leaving. She took me to dinner with Lene, so that was nice. So she's the only rep that I still have any contact with at all,
right?
Because she could be nice. But anyway, so she posted this story from, I'll show you too, honey. I don't know if you can see it, but it's from a dinner at the annual meeting. And
fancy
I'll read you
looking.
Yeah, exactly. It's expensive. Trust me. It's the most expensive they could get a reservation for.
Well, did they go Roots Chris?
No.
Carson's.
I have no idea, but looks swanky, don't it? It says, we are not in our business for the recognition, but getting recognized for our impact, efforts, and successes with the financial plans we create for our clients sure is an added plus. And I'm like, y'all think that you're really just doing everybody this huge service, but you're all sitting there counting your money, counting your bonuses, because you're hitting these, you're getting recognition. Bullshit.
It's a pyramid scheme.
It really is. But it's a legal one. But Misty, have you seen The Boys at all?
Some of it. I tried watching it when it first came out, and it was really bad. So
It's unsettling. But you know how Homelander, every time he comes and saves somebody,
Save somebody.
yeah, and he goes, "No, you guys are the real heroes." That's what this sounds like.
yeah, absolutely.
It's like the most self-serving bunch of shit.
Mm-hmm.
And they never pass that on down to the staff. The staff never gets to go to annual.
Yep.
It's just like, but I just, when I saw that, I sent it to Lene so fast because, like, and she goes, yeah, all those people are, they're type A personalities that love the recognition and the praise.
Yeah.
And
Stroke my ego. Stroke my ego.
Of course.
And I'm just like, this is amazingly horrible.
Right?
Yeah. No,
Glad you don't work there anymore.
Seriously. But I clearly don't have any emotional damage.
Not at all.
No. From a bad work experience, please.
No.
Not on this podcast.
Okay, that was my little rant, just because it was like just so typical.
Fair point. I haven't decided whether or not it's if I'm neutral to it, if I'm just ignoring it entirely, or if I'm going to have an existential crisis in the next 5 minutes.
So let's talk about something that'll make her happy.
It's like, holy shit.
Existential crisis. Let's see it happen.
Now that'll just be me laying on the floor in the background. So like that's not all that entertaining. So
since this isn't a visual medium.
True.
Fair point. You can take a screenshot of me laying in the background, just post it on Instagram.
This is what it feels like to turn 30.
That would look good on the merch,
right?
just a headstone with my name on it. Like that's all it's gonna be.
Here's a pillow to cry into.
Speaking of our merch, it's coming out pretty soon. And very soon. I don't think we actually settled on a date for it yet.
No, we did not. We said we're gonna do it, and then I made the announcement, and that's it.
Erin, you want to sneak peek at our merch?
She's pulling it up right now. Oh, I love it. The pillow's so cute.
My products, show all products, collections, or just my products?
Probably. It's where next to the home button it says products. You should just be able to click on products.
Because I see 4 results, and it's the pillow.
Why don't I just share my screen and I'll show it to you?
That would work too. Oh, I see. Is that my Furby?
That's your Furby.
So we've got work horror stories stuff. We've got there's more than just this for Furby merchandise, but it's on both. All of our tote bags have images on both sides, just for the record. We've got mugs, shirts, sweaters, keychains. By the way,
here it is.
The shirt doesn't have to come in this color or this style, whatever one you see. Like you can click on it, it'll give you color and
all the options,
like, styles, options. So like if it shows you a sweater, you can still get it in a t-shirt and vice versa.
Oh, she showed me the devil picture.
It's right there.
The devil picture.
Yeah.
Sweet Fields. By the way, you could also get Sweet Fields in a poster format.
That's a poster
just stickers. For that.
Poster stickers and a shirt.
Yeah,
stickers? Okay, that might be funny.
Stickers do come in sheets of like 40, so you will have a lot of stickers.
And just put them in traumatizing places.
I mean, Misty did tell me to do that to you. Just like when you're not home, just go to your room and just put Sweet Fields everywhere.
For the record, I did say a little more than that because I said you could get it in so many different products. You can get it shirts, comforters, pillows, blankets,
just randomly
doormats, curtains. Just like one day when you were gone, just to replace your whole room with Sweet Fields.
Just put it all over my windows from the outside. Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah. That was like you can get it in curtains.
You are
like
devious.
But it also all kinds of things.
Oh no, now you're tempting me with stationery.
Yeah, we have a notebook. Yeah.
You can get sweaters, like we've got the planetary deer stuff, we've got castles and poor people, we've got and there's lots of tote bags. You can get pillows, the Furby notebook, the Furby sticker sheets, different kinds of shirts for it, our logo, more tote bags and stuff like that. So we've got 34 pieces of merchandise that are coming out.
So what they're telling you is they're spending my money quite frivolously right now.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yep. Yeah. I really want this tote bag.
Oh, that's so cute. I love it.
And the back is this. Is this lovely cup.
The castles and poor people and
The
planetary
castles and poor people. Yeah, I love the tote bag because it has the castles and poor people on one side and like the cup on the other. And I really, like, I was telling Ani, I really just wanted to wear the castles and poor people and the planetary deer merchandise into my old planetary deer.
Yeah.
Like I just wanted to walk in there with it on there and just wait and see how long it takes for them to notice that's what it says, and just feel really vindictive and good about it. So. But we've got all kinds of stuff, variety of a little bit of everything for everyone. So guys, girls, and all kinds of stuff. So you guys can
Love it.
enjoy. Yeah. So that'll be interesting. That'll be coming out. I don't know if we've decided on a date. It might be out by the time this episode airs. Who knows?
Who knows? It's we run on whims.
It's like, who knows? Not us.
Not us.
There's a
Powered by
reason.
ADHD.
It's like there's a
Powered by
reason.
whimsy.
Yeah, there's like a reason that our images about the merchandise just says coming soon when it doesn't have a date. So, because we don't know. So it'll be out soon. Whenever we decide, it's the only thing left to do is just to unhide all the items. So
It's literally open shop.
Literally,
pretty much it is.
Just click a button that says make public.
Yeah, pretty much. And just like wee. So, and then in the future, we'll be releasing merchandise and batches. We already have like the next couple of batches actually planned out. At least the next one's pretty planned out. But that one won't happen for a little while, so you guys can enjoy this. And so go take part, enjoy, represent all of the wild and weirdness that you guys have seen from our podcast, and have fun. So
yes, the whole point is to have fun with this, especially
and earn some crazy looks out in public,
right? That's half the fun.
That's half the fun, especially if you really read the details on that planetary deer cup. Because let me tell you,
I like the trauma.
Yeah, definitely
with an extra shot of danger.
Oh yeah. My planetary deer experiences are forever documented and should probably be under the horror category of podcasts. Sure. Real life crime. We're a true crime podcast for those 3 episodes.
A true and somehow legal crime.
Right?
Yeah. In some aspects. Some of it was legal, some of it wasn't. So just like
that we were somehow expected to put up with that shit.
Yeah, pretty much. So that's
because I totally want to deal with some random guy swinging around like an 8-foot chain over a spilled bottle of wine.
Imported German wine too.
Well,
at least he had good taste.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought. It's just like, well, at least you have good taste. You're not a great person, but you've got good taste. So,
so true of so many people.
Yeah. So, I guess we should start off by talking about our 30s and turning 30. And both of you have already ventured into this unknown land of 30s.
Yep, I've got 2 years on all you people.
How do you like it?
It's not bad. I actually like my 30s compared to my 20s.
That's fair.
I mean, the physical aspect is I need a nap more than I did when I was in my 20s, but I don't sleep at nights. but overall...
But she likes it.
But I like where my head's at 30.
That's fair. That's fair.
Where my wallet's at 30. Not totally happy with the wallet, but a lot better than it was before.
Yeah. Definitely happier about like the mental headspace of it is. I will say mental headspace has been getting better over the decades. Like my teens is probably when it was worst, and then Castles and Poor People was a traumatic 7 years. So maybe like really bad around like my mid-teens, improved for a little while, and then really decreased in the years I was in Castles and Poor People, and then it's slowly gotten better again. So
it's you start reaching the level of I literally give 0 fucks about anything.
Yeah.
Which is when you just start
in a healthy way, not in a I can't be bothered to care about literally anything ever kind of a way.
Yeah.
There's a how do I want to put it? It's kind of a gracious acceptance, like where you're just like very zen. It is what it is. Like we'll deal with it as it comes.
Like I'll have my mental breakdown over a pen falling at the wrong moment in a meeting in about 5 minutes, and then we're over it.
Yeah.
For me, that's the medication talking. It's just the automatic calm down. Yeah.
It's fair enough.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been 30 for about 11 months. So literally 5 days before I turned 30, I started my new job. So I was still like in the bad headspace from the other one. Like, don't hit me. But you know, this job is so much better. The people are so much better. People actually do their fucking jobs. It's kind of it's beautiful. And it makes me more money.
That's always
so
important.
so like my mental health has been getting steadily better, but it's been directly coinciding with this new job. So it's
Fair.
been so far it's been good.
It's the right turnaround.
Yes.
That's fair. I will say, like, mental health has definitely gone up since leaving Castles and Poor People, and
yeah.
it's gotten a little better now that I don't work at like the first university job. Second university job's definitely better, mostly just because I make way more money at this one than I did the last one. So, but then
And
again,
you're mostly at home. You're strictly at home for the most part.
yeah. So, like the first like 4 or 5 months, which was in person with the my first university job, hated that. Like that was a different kind of hate. That like these people were so cliquey, like these so like they were a family, and they called each other. Well, this is the mom, and I'm the I'm the sister, and this is the aunt, and like these are our kids, and I'm just like. Yeah, it was really fucking weird. And like, let me tell you, my first experience at Castles and Poor People in Orlando was my cafe manager looking at me and telling me, I didn't interview you, so I don't know how well you're going to fit in here, right? So one of my first experiences with this first university job is just like them explaining their weird family dynamic for me, like to me, and they'll be like, well, we haven't figured out where you're going to fit yet. So it's just like, okay.
Well, that's straight up telling you you're going to be the redheaded stepchild that they're going to shit all
and
over.
I fully was. Like, let me tell you, because slowly a lot of the people that like the heavy involved in the family thing, a lot of them left while I was there. Okay. And which was great for me because like because like there were two people who were probably one was in like their upper 30s and the other one was in like her mid to late 40s, early 50s and all that. And then the other ones were about my age, and the ones that were about my age were the ones that were leaving for other things, and the one that was like super involved in it, she left. And once she left, like it just kind of plummeted really fast with the involvement into it, and I'm like, thank God. And I was really glad we were getting like new people in who were not into it either, and I'm like, yes, because holy shit, what the fuck is this? Because I hated it. It was weird. And
well,
then
you know
like,
that meme about like if they say we're a family, get out.
Yeah, it was
not
really
a meme.
It was really, really bizarre. Like they had a very weird like clique family thing, and like there were two families technically, and like because one, yeah, and it's just like, well, they were like the moms were like sisters or whatever, and then they're like these were our kids, and like this is the aunts, and like it was really bizarre.
I'm so uncomfortable hearing this.
What is this Romeo and Juliet bullshit? Like the families
It was
in Fair Verona. Stop.
Yeah,
my
and one of them was like because there was like
it's the Brady Bunch, yeah,
the Brady Bunch.
There was like the grandmother, and then like she had like the two kids, and like they had kids and everything, and then there was like the aunts, and like and it was just really, really, really weird, and it really weirded me out. But they were super fucking into it, and like one of the two team leads were the like two moms or whatever that were supposed to be like sisters, and one of them was my team lead, and she was cool. Like I didn't really have any issues with her, but the other one was a fucking psycho. I swear to God, she was the one that was like really gung ho, like into all of it. But
did these people run around going, "Mommy, sissy"?
Yeah.
Oh no.
She's like, "Where's my daughter? Where's my mom?" And it just, it was. Yeah,
did these people really not actually have to work that they could spend this much time buying into this psychosis?
I don't know, but when we were told we were going to work from, like, I only spent like 4 or 5 months like actually in the office, for which I was glad, and before we started working from home for like the next 2 years, and I'm just like, thank God, once I learned I didn't have to be in an office with these people anymore, so excited
Mhm.
because they were fucking weird, and I don't hesitate to say that. It was a
Mhm.
it was a good move for me going there from Castles and Poor People because for one thing, nobody yelled at me like the whole time I was there, which was amazing.
Hey.
Nobody threatened my life or anything like that. It's just like
Step
okay,
up. Step
that's a
up.
huge. It was also a huge pace. Like, look, I at the first university job, I only made $20,000, and that was almost double what I was making at the other place. Yeah,
What the fuck?
yeah. So, get paid much more here at my new university job, but like, my first university job was only $20,000. So then I was just like, and that was a huge step up from Castle. I wasn't even like low level Castles and Poor People because I was the department lead for there, and yeah, I, yeah, it was really
Yeah.
bad. So
Yeah.
when I got a promotion after being there for like 5 years, I got the promotion into cafe lead, and
All of what? 50 cents?
72.
Woo.
72 cents. I didn't even get a dollar raise. And I'm just like, cool. I haven't been running the cafe for the last 6 months while our manager's been out or anything like that. But, sure, I'll take 72 cents. That's fine. So,
What does that equal? Like 0.001% of the cost of
yeah,
living?
pretty much. Because I made at the end, I think it was $11. And that was it. So, yeah, for 40 hours a week. So, it was great. It was great.
That's
Yeah.
disgusting.
Yep. So we lived in the really shitty part of town for a reason. So no, though again, if you listen to the 90s trivia episode we just recorded, you're gonna think I haven't moved because there is a whole police chase scene that I was witnessing live in that episode. So y'all have fun with that.
And I was narrating in my we interrupt your regular programming for this urgent
Yeah.
update.
At one moment we're just answering trivia questions, and the next moment I'm just like shh, shh, and then I have
Lights
to run
go
away.
off. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, okay.
So you
She turned her lights off.
We're not home.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we watched helicopters and canine units and some other stuff going on. So Erin hasn't heard that episode yet because it's not out yet technically,
Yeah.
but it'll be available to all of you guys when
That's
you
gonna be a
listen to
fun one.
this.
Oh my God.
So
Yeah.
so
My mom's
it
just
is
walking around with a
interesting.
knife in her hand, like just ready to stab somebody.
First of all, I believe your mom would.
Yeah.
Second of all,
100%, zero hesitation. My mom's a
Yeah.
stab first, ask questions never kind of a person. So she's just like, no.
Yes.
Just like no. Like we have a little yard area. We can just bury a body right there. It's sandish out here, so like it's not hard to dig a hole. Like it's fine. So
I mean, plus you're in Florida. How far is it to a swamp?
They have a lake on camp, like on
I
their
was gonna say
apartment
like about
complex.
30 feet that way.
Plus alligators.
Plus gators.
All done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Done.
It's a big like I would. There's 100% chance that there are gators in it. Like there's just it's too big for that. So when Ani was here, she went and she looked at it. She didn't really go into it because it's just like
Thank God.
Because here's why. We went to the pool. The pool was disgustingly warm. And I'm like, it's hot out and I want to cool off, and the water is like almost like jacuzzi level. Didn't like it. I'm like, well, maybe the lake will be cooler. I walked down, I put one foot in. I'm like, it's the same water as the goddamn pool. I'm like,
and it's
plus
also
alligators.
plus gators.
Yeah, plus gators. And it's just like
So I walked back to the pool.
When we went to Cape Canaveral too, like you hesitated to go out really far too because it's
went to Cape Canaveral. I went into the Indian River again. Water is
the banana river. Yeah,
finally your survival instincts kicking in. Finally,
look, I did tell her about the document, like the gator documentary that I watched, where when the first like couple months we were here and we had to stay in like a hotel when we first moved here. There was the same alligator documentary on every night at the same time, and I watched it like all the time because that was what was on. And that's where I learned that gators have a 6-foot vertical leap. They can run just stupidly fast, and they can also climb trees, and they're drop predators where they'll climb the trees, sit in the branch, wait for you to walk underneath it, and they'll fall on top of you in order to eat you.
Steve Irwin didn't tell me this.
No, he did not, but I'm pretty sure his gators are probably
predators.
Yeah. So when you go places, 1, don't get in the water. 2, even if it's look up in the trees. 3, look under any vehicles you pass by because they do like to hang out under there too. Don't walk near the water. You should be a minimum of 10 feet away from the water's edge at any point in time. And even if you're going to a pool, look in it first because they go in our pools all the time. So, and for the record, Disney does in fact have gators.
Oh yeah,
in
remember
their
that kid got eaten a
Yeah,
couple
that
years
kid got
ago?
eaten by.
Yeah.
Yeah,
gator.
no. My mom has said at least once a week, don't go in the water.
Yeah.
My dad has said
Also,
it too. He's like, "Don't go to the water." I'm like, "We're not leaving the property. We're not going to the beach. We're
I'm not
in
going
the
to any
pool."
wild water.
Yeah.
No.
I'm not saying they can't be there, but we're not going to any wild
No,
water.
we're going to the pool.
it
in
does
the hotel.
still qualify for hotel pools. You look in the water before
I
you
mean,
get into
sure,
it.
absolutely. But I'm assuming there will be people there already at the pool who have maybe looked or, you know.
I will still look, but
yeah. Oh, no, I'm
Do
not
a little
relying on-
circuit around the pool first.
No, we're just looking for the best chair to put our towel on.
We're not checking for predators. It's fine.
We're not checking for gators or anything.
Yeah. So and
Come
just
see.
Come see.
yeah, it's just like check the trees, check the waters, check underneath the vehicles. Just be prepared. So I will say
think about cars.
Me neither. I forgot about that.
I will say in all the time that I've lived here, I've only ever seen one, so like it's not a big deal. So I like you shouldn't encounter them like on a regular basis, but because I've only ever seen one.
With
and
our luck, we're gonna encounter at least 2.
Probably like that's y'all. That's definitely y'all. So
I'm fine. I'm fine.
she doesn't look fine for the record. She looks worried, which to be fair, it's Florida, but you are more far likely to encounter Florida man at some point.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, I'd rather deal with gators in Florida, man.
That's true. That's true.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Did you guys see one of the more articles recently where a Florida man tried to steal a car because Joe Biden came to him in a dream and told him to do it in order to save the country?
What?
He drove to Connecticut to do this. I think it was Connecticut.
With gas prices like these?
From Florida
Wow.
to Connecticut? What?
Wow. Oh, jeez. No, I hadn't heard
I
that
hadn't
one.
heard that one either.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm surprised someone from Florida would listen to Dream Joe Biden.
I mean, there are a lot of giant trucks that fly around with like Trump flags on them, so like that's not fun. But yeah. It's a weird state. You guys can have fun when you get here. It's a weird fucking state. So,
and the best part is we get to see more of you.
We get to have 2 full days with you.
That's true.
I am so excited, Misty. I can't even tell you.
Me too. I'm so excited.
Like as soon as she told me that you were spending the night at the hotel, I'm just like, best day ever.
Yes, I'm so excited. For one thing, I'm so excited just to get to meet you in person.
I know.
Despite the fact that we have a conversation like almost every day.
Yeah, I know. Like, it's really weird, isn't it? Like, where you can talk all the time and you're just like, but I haven't seen you in person, so somehow it doesn't count.
Yeah.
It doesn't count.
It's weird because like I haven't seen Ani in a year, but before that I hadn't seen her in like 5 years. And it just doesn't seem like it's been that long because we talk literally every day.
Mm-hmm.
So
on multiple platforms.
multiple platforms.
There's multiple conversations going on at all times.
We've had like really long, like deep discussions that are going on like Messenger while just sending shitpost memes to each other on Instagram. Like it's just
exactly.
And then, but then there's like, so like then I know you guys have your own conversation. We have our own conversation. Like, and then there's the
group one.
The group one, and it's like, I'm like, someone's talking to me at all times of the day.
It's fair.
But I did tell Ani I was also kind of sad that we were only going to see you for like the time we were at Universal.
Yeah.
And I'm like, because that'll be a long time, but like there's different rides where you've already said fuck no. So I'm like, well, okay, that cuts into my time with Misty, so that kind of sucks. So I'm very happy about this plan.
That's good. I'm glad.
I made the plans with Misty to sleep over before I even mentioned them to you. I was like,
I was out of town.
Fine.
It's one of those ones that it's really, really okay. If you had volunteered me to go bungee jumping, we'd have a different conversation.
You and me both, though? Like, no, I would have just said no for the both of us. I'd have been like, nah.
And you know what? I like that I can rely on her for that. To just go, no.
It's like, you can count us out of that. You go do that shit by yourself. Like, we'll watch, but...
I will.
I will record, I guess.
Like, you'll need it for the life insurance policy that her parents are going to have to get.
Oh, she signed a... Oh, never mind. Shit.
We'll burn the waiver form. That's our job.
Yeah.
You record it, I'll burn the waiver, and there we go. So we got your back, girl. Just from a distance.
I'm liking this. I'm liking this.
Is this aiding and abetting at this point?
Probably. I can delete this part of the podcast so like people don't know.
So no one will ever know.
Oh gosh.
See? Like there we go. Nobody has to know.
But yes, so excited to finally see you in person. Yes. And what are we at? 52 days?
Something like that.
51 and change.
51.
I think.
51 days, 6 hours, and 31 minutes.
Woo! I'm excited.
So excited.
I can't believe we survived the 200 odd days.
I know, 202. We started with 202 days.
Ooh, okay.
And we're down to 51.
All right. That's good, though. That's good. The sooner you guys get here, the better.
No.
Forward to it.
So excited. There's just a whole plane ride in between that I'm just like...
You guys don't like to fly?
I mean, I'm okay. What does that
say?
That's for
the bus.
She's waving papers in front of my face, and I'm like...
We have
I can't see in my periphery.
And our bus. Plane and bus.
That's fair.
And, I just get antsy on the plane. Yeah. That's all. I like, because we have a direct flight, and it's just like, okay, I want to do something else now. It's not really like, I'm not really afraid of flying. It's just kind of
it's so boring.
Yeah.
So
that's fair.
And it's considered rude to get up and walk around all the time.
I don't think I've been on a flight since I was really little. Like, we've driven everywhere. Like, even when we moved from, like, one side of the country to the other, we drove, so... I don't think I've been on a flight in a really long time, but
and then in a couple months they'll be flying out to Seattle.
Yeah, I'm gonna do like a one way for that one because it benefits me for the time difference. So because I'll go back in time 4 hours. So it'll benefit me to be there as early as possible. So that's what I'm gonna do. So and I was just because I was looking at that and the it's just cheaper too.
It's cheaper to go one way and then get another one way back.
And I'm like, that's fine. Like the way back's gonna suck because I'm gonna double the amount of time. It's gonna a 4-hour flight will turn into like an 8-hour flight. So and it's gonna be like that's really gonna fucking suck. But the flight there is gonna be really beneficial because I think I'll arrive an hour after I left, technically. So
yeah.
So I was just like, okay, that's fine by me. So, but so that'll be interesting. But the last flight I did take was actually for a birthday, and it was my 9th birthday to come here to Orlando because we went to Disney World.
Little did you know.
We went to Disney World in the summer, and it rained most of the time we were here. So
of course it did.
Yeah, we went to Disney World and Legoland. So
I thought there's one.
Same. I keep forgetting there's Legoland here. I've been there once when I was like 10.
I went. It's been a while since I've been to it, and it's like. While I appreciate Lego, like actually building it, I remember like a lot of the thing. Well, I think they've improved it too, but like a lot of the things I was already too tall for.
Yeah.
So it was like
too old, too tall.
Because they have like something. It's kind of like the Autopia. Like I think they call it like driving school or something like that.
Yes,
and I was already too tall. I was already too tall.
No,
so
I wasn't too tall, but my dad, when we were in line for that, he loves telling me this story. He's just like, he would always tell me that, don't, as like a joke, don't spin the wheel too much. You're going to break it. And it's like the ride kind of went, it kind of broke down for a bit while we were on the ride. And my dad's like, see what you did? Yeah. And then we get off the ride. My dad's like, I told you not to do that. So like we're walking out the ride. Another like dad and his daughter are walking in the ride.
Yeah.
And they had a dad moment, and the other guy was just like, see, she broke it. Don't do the same thing.
Oh, damn!
Wow. Okay.
And my dad's like, yeah, see, be a good example. I'm like, come on.
Be a good example.
Wow.
Fuck that other little girl. I'm sorry.
Shit.
No.
Oh, okay. The writing that where you got to drive yourself around, that and a giant Lego long neck dinosaur and the Lego McDonald's that was there are the only three things I remember from that trip. So
Lego McDonald's?
yeah, it had like a working Lego like train track that went around the roof of the inside of it.
Cool.
So yeah,
Huh.
it's about the only thing I remember from the Legoland. Beyond
I thought
like they don't even advertise for Legoland here. Like if you didn't know it was here, like they wouldn't talk about it. Like you see
I don't
something every
remember
once
the
in a blue
last time I
moon.
saw Legoland ad here either.
I've seen one kind of recently.
It's like
When
every
was it?
once in a blue moon where you don't expect it. There's like a billboard or like a little ad somewhere of Legoland,
Uh-huh.
and
Yeah,
it's
it's
like,
oh shit, that's right.
There's part of me that or was it because someone I went with kids? So I didn't go, but someone I know, did Cal and Joe go to Legoland? Maybe that was it.
Yes, I want to say yes.
I think they did.
Yeah.
Hi, Cal and Joe.
Hi, Addie.
They're the only family with kids in our group, so we put all the look at the baby energy into them.
Yeah,
that's
and everyone lucked out, including the parents, that these are really cool kids.
Mm-hmm.
well, that's
The
good.
coolest. At least one of them is going to be a president of the United States.
At least one.
Oh, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
There are no children anywhere in my family, in like the vicinity. Like I have no
That's
interaction
fine.
with children. I think my cousin has kids. I think two of my cousins have kids. I've never met the cousins, let alone the kids. Like shit. So I'm just like, okay. I saw one of them announce that she was pregnant, like with her second kid and everything, and I'm like, cool.
Oh,
I've never even met
one?
you. You're just like, I've never even met you, let alone the kids. So I'm just like,
By the way, did you ever hear back from TJ?
No.
Oh.
Aww.
I didn't think I would. Anyway, so it's not the first time I've tried to contact him. So I didn't think I would. I can understand it. Like,
that kind of sucks.
I can understand not wanting to contact that side of the family. So I don't talk to him either. So
True. I mean, I get that because I have my own family where it's like just no.
Yeah. I've just blacklisted literally all but one person in my family, so that's fine. It's just like I didn't expect him to either, so it's just like I don't care.
Yeah, it's weird because I've gotten some family back, from the black hole. So it's still kind of weird. Like it was because when I was out of town, I saw my cousin and his wife, and it was weird because I was just talking to his wife about his daughter, second marriage. And it was like, oh, that's right. I can talk about family in a nice way. Like it's not just like trauma venting. Like when we talk about my cousin's mother. But yeah, it was like it's like weird having family back from the abyss.
Yeah, that's fair. Mm-hmm. We've had a little bit of contact with like an uncle or so in like the last 5 years or whatever. None of it goes well. Like none of it goes well. Like when a couple of years ago, back when I was working for Castles and Poor People, my cousin on my father's side, so like his brother's daughter, her parents, who I've never met, which are my biological uncle and his wife, had their Facebook account hacked into.
Oh, this
and
one.
They sent me a message on Messenger, and I'm like, this is weird because I don't think we've ever really had a conversation before. We're like Facebook friends, and that is literally that's it. Like that's as vague as it gets. And they were sending me like this weird stuff about like a camp or something like that, and I'm like, I don't know. Like it sounded weird enough that I'm just like, it was like slightly religious sounding, but I'm just like, and they're super religious people. But and I'm just like, I don't. It's weird that they're contacting me, which makes me suspicious. So I went on Instagram and I messaged her, and I was like, hey, like, is this your actual parents, or is this like just something like have they been hacked into? And she called them, and it wasn't them. They've been hacked into and everything. And she's like, yeah, they were hacked into. Like they're gonna change their account settings. She's like, oh, by the way, our grandparents died 6 months ago.
By
the way, BT dubs.
And then followed it up with, my dad didn't want me to tell you because your dad's a loose cannon. So, and I'm just like, great. what does that have to do with
How?
me?
Yeah, what is
But
how? I don't understand how 1 + 1 = 2 here.
I guess they think I'm like him, despite the fact that I haven't seen him since I was 12 and haven't spoken to him since I was 18. And I was just like, what? And she's like, yeah, they died like a month or so apart, but they died about 6 months ago. And I'm
Well,
just like,
thanks.
okay. And her dad, my uncle, really didn't want her or anybody to tell me, I guess. My assumption is because she was telling me about how my father's the oldest, and they adored him despite the fact that he was a drunk and a drug addict and just fucked his whole life. But they had money. They absolutely had money. So he was going after the money hard, and along with everything else that they had.
Oh.
And I think they thought I would try and like weasel my way into that. And I'm like, I want
I
nothing
don't
from you
give a
people
fuck.
other than you leaving me alone. Like, that's fine.
Yeah, I just
I
contacted you because I don't want to hear about this weird church camp thing.
yeah, and I'm just like, cool. Thanks for that. So that was I just sat there when she said that, and I'm just like, wow, you people have never met me before, but you have a really shitty opinion of me. And I was just like, that's super not fair. But that's that side of the family.
That's
So
psycho
Yeah,
family
that's
stuff.
psycho family.
and I'm just like, well, that's great. Thank you for literally judging me with not knowing a damn single thing about me and never having met me before. And I'm not sure where they get that opinion from, considering the fact that the only contact they have with me is on Facebook and Instagram and what they see that I post. And literally anybody who's seen my Facebook or my Instagram, just like it's just a lot of pictures of cats, guys. Like that's just all there is to it. And it's
Clearly
just
a
like
witch.
Yeah, clearly.
I did I will admit not long after that, because my that side of the family is like super like homophobic and like all that other shit, and they're like super Christian. I had a friend of mine who I went to a convention with, and her and I cosplayed together as as the characters from Yuri on Ice,
Oh,
which
that's
is a gay anime
right.
show.
You did.
And we cosplayed together, and we got matching wedding rings, and I posted a bunch of pictures about it, and I just like,
Oh my god.
so
They were
just
Yuri on Ice.
yeah, I did it. That wasn't really that long after that happened, and I did do that on purpose. And I'm just like, so
Did I told you the Easter egg story, right?
I think so.
Okay. So I'll tell you, Misty, because I also have some religious wingnuts that decide to, impose upon me with their religiousness. And it's like we're not. But this person, my aunt, this is on my dad's side. The other aunt that was mentioned is on my mom's. And I unfortunately have more contact with her, my dad's sister. She can be nice, but she also does the religious crap, and that's when I just really like shut it down. But anyway, so several years ago, and this was already after there was like a wedge in the family, and my brother and I were. I mean, I want to say I was in my 20s, either my late teens or my 20s. So first of all, that's how old I was dyeing Easter eggs, right? Oh, she's showing me the pictures. Very cute.
yeah.
And very cute. So then we were dyeing, and I had this bright blue egg, and I was writing on them in Sharpie and just doing, being disgusting and like writing dick and boob and things like that. And then,
yeah, those Easter eggs.
Really mature. I understand. The rings. She's showing me the rings. That's just.
I told her why I was specifically taking that photo too, and I'm just like, I'd like to use this photo to piss off some really homophobic relatives. Are you cool with that? And she's like, absolutely. And that's why we took all of those photos.
I love it so much. Love it, love it, love it. Anyway, so I had this bright blue egg, and I wrote on it, if you've seen The Kingsman, it's Colin Firth when he goes, like, he's in that church and things going to start to go bad, and he's like, "Hail Satan and have a lovely afternoon." And I'm like, it's just the most ridiculous thing I could write on an Easter egg, right? And I posted it. And apparently my that side of the family, because we already weren't going to Easters and stuff because fuck them, and apparently someone must have been on Facebook or whichever thing and then showed it around. I can just imagine they were showing it around.
Oh my god, did you see
Oh my god,
Erin...
did you see what Erin posted? So my aunt fucking calls me the next day and she's like, is everything okay? And she's like, just goes on and on about this fucking egg. And she said she couldn't sleep because she's afraid I'm into devil stuff. And I'm like, I'm sorry. It was a joke from a movie. Like, it was not serious. And like, then she made me explain the scene and she's like, oh, I see it was religious people. It was made fun of Christians and blah, blah. And I'm like, woman. I didn't say this because I was too young to like really, but it's just like, it's a fucking Easter egg. Your Christian teaching should tell you that the stupid egg that came out of a chicken's ass and is supposed to be delivered by an Easter bunny has nothing to do with
the guy that died and rose from his grave.
Exactly.
The zombie man. Come on.
These two things have nothing to do with each other. It is a secular object, and I'm making a secular joke. Like, Jesus. So that's why we don't talk to her very much.
Fair point.
Only when forced.
Yeah,
Only when forced.
That's fair. That's how I was when I was younger, and I would have to talk like to my father's parents, and I didn't enjoy it because it was never a fun conversation. It was always asking me very specific questions about my life, saying something rude about my mom, asking more questions, and then saying some more rude things about my mom, and then
there was a lot of shit talking her mom.
That's why I quit talking to them. I told them if they couldn't stop saying really shitty things about my mom, I was going to stop talking to them. They continued to do it. Apparently, didn't believe me, so I stopped talking to them. So
good for you.
Yeah,
no, my grandparents on that side's disrespect for my mom was just straight to her face. It wasn't like a roundabout kind of thing.
Yeah,
like it was, and it's like, oh, why would that piss you off?
I wonder why.
Not my saint of a mother. You won't talk about her that way,
right?
Ooh, got that right. Fight somebody for my mom. So
that's why I get these sharp claws, so I can wound a bitch.
Exactly. Though, in all honesty, I don't think any of our moms actually need defending because I'm pretty sure they'll kick at their people's ass for themselves. So,
yes,
my mom's favorite saying is that she will, if you are on her shit list, she will easily drown you in a teaspoon of water.
I mean, as we've heard earlier, my mom walks around with giant knives, so like it's fine.
I mean, there was one part. Like, my mom will do that too because there was in the 70s. They were, when they were in Turkey. There's no cell phones in the 70s. And my dad's running late. There's shit going down in the streets. Mom has no idea. Electricity's out. There's candles everywhere, so there's shadows now. So she's seeing anxiety, seeing shadows, blah blah blah. The woman was standing behind like the door, like so when it opens, it'll open towards her. She's standing behind the door with a rolling pin in one hand raised and a knife in the other one at her waist, ready to knock up the person out and stab him.
Good for her. Good for her.
Almost did that to my dad as he came through the door. She's like, wrong person.
At least she looked first. At least she looked first. That's good.
Ani would not be here if that was the case. If things had gone differently.
That's fair.
It's true.
Well, we've definitely heard a lot about our last 30 years.
Why are we broken in the way that we are broken? This is some of the reasons why.
This is why. You guys have any hopes for your 30s?
No, other than just enjoying my time. Because, we know I'm the one that's in the dating pool, and the more I try, the less I want.
Fair point. Fair fucking points.
There's just nothing out. The pools are lacking so much. And, I'm on 3 different dating apps, and each one, my profile is different, and each pool is worse than the next.
Fair point.
I am in no pools.
You don't need to be.
I am on no apps. I'm still waiting for Prince Charming to find me hiding in my room in the air conditioning, and he just needs to show up. Well, he's not really Prince Charming. That's a little probably more morally gray.
We need the morally gray
asshole.
That's fair.
Type.
But he still needs to find
me.
Yeah, he's got to find us.
We have a very similar life plan.
I don't mind going out because like I will go out to like things, and actually I'm starting to enjoy doing it on my own. So like I will go mingle with people I've never met before, just
Couldn't be me, okay.
just to see people. Like I made a friend that way.
I think it's
and
great.
she's a hoot. I love her. But yeah, like I'm going out to do these things, and usually I just my strong aura of do not fuck with me follows me everywhere I go, and it's fine.
Yeah.
It's totally fine.
Yeah. After I told you the last time I saw you,
Mm-hmm.
a friend's dad told me and well Geneva too also that we had the don't fuck with me thing going on, and so he's like said that we were intimidating, and I'm like okie dokie, good. Yeah. I mean it has really kept the fuckery away, but I'm wondering if it kept the one of the okay ones away too.
No, probably not. It just kept all the stupid ones away.
Yeah.
You need somebody brave enough to actually approach you, so it just kept the cowards away.
Exactly.
That's what I tell myself when I go to bed. It's fine.
That's fair. That's what I tell myself too. So you're
fine. Y'all aren't missing a damn thing.
I know.
The dating pool is just worse. And like even on all your profiles, you can be like, you can tell them like I'm here for looking for whatever. I'm not looking for hookups or DTF or whatever. And the second you match with someone, the first thing they ask you is like, hey. Say, hey, cutie, or hey, hot stuff. You want to get together and grab a drink and get naked? I'm like, did you not read my profile?
No, they didn't.
Like, what part of this is gonna make me attracted to you? Like, nothing.
See, I'm just convinced that the dude, because Prince Charming is too blah.
Yeah.
But like the dude is waiting for me somewhere.
He's somewhere.
He's definitely pushing a door that says pull. That's the only explanation at this point.
I'm going with it. It's like, honey, fair. I know you have a brain. Use it.
Read.
I always just assumed it was trapped in a fictional dimension because that's where I should be. So.
I mean, yes. That's much more likely.
It's much more likely that all of the people that I want are... Or fictional. My chances of finding the person for me is in a book.
It's highly fictional.
Highly fictional. In an alternate reality or dimension, and I'll never be able to beat them.
Fair point.
It's fine.
The only real things I want out of my 30s are better financial stability and a job in my field. And to finish my PhD. Because should happen within the next couple of years. So... I got the master's before I turned 30, and that was literally just my main goal, was just to get it before I turned 30, because it was really bothering me that it was taking me this fucking long. So, but I got that. Yeah, I got that, and I'm already into my PhD. So, like, it's like, okay, let's go. Let's finish this, because I'm tired of fucking being in school. Been in school my whole life, and I hate it. So, so it's just, mostly it's just because it's so boring, and it's just... Literally, these assignments I had for my last class are the same assignments I have for this class, just with a different topic. And, like, to the week. Like, there's one assignment a week. It's the same exact assignments, just with a new topic.
Just copy and paste the syllabi?
And pretty much. And I'm just like, oh, this is it's another one of those classes where I have to teach myself everything. And I'm just like...
Great.
And you said, well, never mind.
This is the antiquities thing, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's the late antiquities class. So... I'm going with a little more straightforward approach of like, hey, here's this lady who was murdered by a bunch of Christians, to a Christian school. So like, yeah, but
enjoy.
And she was pagan, so it's just like, here you go. But they still want you to find primary sources, and I'm like, you understand that this is from 300 AD, right? And
what primary source am I going to get from 300 AD if I'm not in the area of my topic of study?
And even then, like, you want Exandria from 300 AD from a very specific female philosopher. Sure. They wanted 12, and I found 12 by relating to other people who were alive during the time, too. So, and I use a lot of, like, frescoes and statues and shit like that. I'm not sure how that... It doesn't really relate to the thing at all, but, like, that's the best I could do.
Cultural.
Because I'm just like,
it's directly linked to the person. There's your source.
Yeah, and I'm just like, I'd have to pick somebody really fucking famous to get 12 primary sources from 300 AD out that would relate to a single topic. So,
which is probably what really they're expecting. They're like,
probably,
pick. I know he's not really late antiquity, but like, here, Julius Caesar. So we can read all the same things over and over again, and I don't have to actually grade. I can just go check, 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 check. Boom.
You know how I know they don't read my shit is because one of the statues that I cited, I was in the middle of putting it like into the annotated bibliography, and I realized that it was the wrong person, but with the same name, but it was from like 200 or 300 years later, and I got a perfect score on that assignment. They did not notice.
You turned it in, it made the page count. There you go.
Yeah, and it was just like, I needed that for like one of the primary sources, and because like I needed a minimum amount of primary source, and I'm like, I'm just gonna put it in, see if they noticed. They did not, and I've moved on with my life. So
I just love the way she says, and I've moved on.
Like, they're not reading it, and I know they're not reading it, especially because once my grades are the exact same, all the way down, 100%. I'm going to go through all of that. I'm going to get to the final paper. They're just going to make the assumption, and they're just going to give me a really good grade on it anyway. So, and that's the point. So,
you could just write in your paper like "go fuck yourselves" like 10 times, and no one will notice.
I don't know if I'd play that game, but
yeah. But like, in all honesty, I have a 4.0 GPA, and I'm really sure none of my professors have actually read any of the shit that I've done. So, my level of caring was already not great, and it just kind of goes down a little bit, and it's just like, cool. But I take one class at a time for a reason. So, because I can't be bothered to, because I have to use the rest of the time to plan for D&D. So, which I will say I've been enjoying immensely, because you know, Anna, you know how we were talking about how the other day we did, you know, like you mentioned, I'm not one of those people who spend a lot of time reading about actors on IMDb. I am the person who spends an enormous amount of time on like fandom wikis and just gets through a rabbit hole of like fandom wiki articles, and D&D is one I spend a ridiculous amount of time into. So yeah,
it works out for all of us.
That's fair. So we're definitely gonna have some fun with that, because I've planned more than I probably should be for something that's supposed to be like a 1 to 2 episode thing. I've gotten super attached to it, so you like you might not have to find a DM at this point. So
I'm totally okay with having more than like 2 episodes on our D&D adventures, because it's just gonna be fun and content.
I have definitely, if Erin's down for doing an extended adventure, there's definitely a plot for a further adventure. So
listen, my brother is invested in this now, because I keep telling him what we're talking about, and like it's getting him all hyped up, because he's actually played before, and he's like,
yeah.
So he's working on a character that will have to join us at some point, but
that's fine.
But he's, so just so you know, we have people waiting in the wings that are hyped for this. So.
That's cool. I did recently write because I sent you guys the video, and I don't know if both of you both watched it.
I watched the video, yeah.
Okay. Which is good, because like the history of and I will explain a little bit here in a second, because I'm going to go over the worlds and stuff with you. That world is created by Matthew Mercer, and it's the world of Exandria. It is not the primary D&D world. That world is called Faerun. That's where most of like the source books and stuff happen. Exandria is the one I know more about, because I've watched all 3 of their campaigns and the things that have been in it, which is hundreds of hours of videos, because let me tell you, their main 2 campaigns are each over 100 episodes, and each of them is about 3 hours long. So I know an enormous amount about Exandria, and not nearly as much about Faerun. So I did set it in that. I am crossing.
Fine by me.
I'm crossing myths a little. You'll also like it too, because like one of the lovely things I like about Matthew Mercer and his wonderful people is that they're like Faerun, and like the original D&D stuff is very high fantasy, but it was created in the 70s, and you can tell. Matthew Mercer is a person of, and his people are a person of the modern age. So when he sprinkles in, you know, like these people are a matriarchal society, these people are just, this couple's gay, or like this couple's like, you know, like modern shit. It's in his world. No, you know, like there's no like big hype made about it. It's just like, there you go. And that's a difference between like the original D&D source books and then like his world, and that's one of the things I like about his world is because they're more inclusive with everything. Like they have in the end of one of his campaigns, there was a character that they brought in and who operates in a wheelchair, and that was not represented in D&D before he did that. And any like mainstream source of how to like incorporate disabilities into like D&D, it was a big thing. So it's one of the things that I really like about Exandria and Matt's just creative style in general. So
yeah,
Cool.
I pulled up the video to show Hayden, and I
Yeah.
go, I go, this is what Misty sent us, and he goes, oh, I know Matt Mercer. Okay, I'm like, great, great, okay, cool.
So it's really popular to like do podcasts and live streams to play D&D, and the biggest one there is Matthew Mercer's Critical Role. There is nobody bigger. These people on an average basis will go live on Thursday nights, an average of 30,000 plus people that watch them.
Wow.
Alyssa, I know, has met the Critical Role people. It was Alyssa or Orion or both.
Might have been both. They might have gone together.
And like there are episodes that are on like YouTube and stuff like that. A million people watch it, like tops and stuff like that. So like, they're the most and they're one of the only people ever to get a book, an official source book made by D&D and approved by them. So Exandria is an approved D&D world, and they're one of only 2 people that have ever done it. So everything else is officially just by Wizards of the Coast, but they're one of 2 people that have ever actually done it. And it's really really good. He is like they're all voice actors, so they have excellent acting skills when they do it. In fact, one of them was the voice of Roy Mustang from Full Metal Alchemist, by the way. Yeah.
Roy.
And and they're really really good. They also, by the way, their very first campaign, if you're interested, they got made into an animated TV show from Amazon, and it's called The Legend of Vox Machina. And I definitely
Vox Machina is a D&D thing by Mercer?
Yep, that is their very first campaign.
All right.
Yeah, it turned into an animation.
I've heard of it, actually.
Yeah, it's their very first campaign. It's fantastic. And it's what got them started in all of it and what made it so popular. They're an animated series because a couple of years ago they decided to raise a Kickstarter because they wanted to do a 2-part like animated special for their first campaign, and they asked for like $500,000, and like they thought maybe they at the absolute most they might hit the $500,000. But they asked the Critical Role people, like the critters, the fans, for $500,000 as a part of like a GoFundMe thing, and within the time frame of about a couple weeks, they'd raised $11 million.
Shit!
And
I love the art style too. It's very Avatar.
Really would you recommend this as like to help with the setting the mood?
It would definitely help you like. So the country that this is the TV show set in is called Taldore, and that's not the one ours is set in.
No,
it's the same planet. That planet that he was talking about, it's all one planet. This is just one country. That one that the show is in. Ours will be in a different country. It's from the country from their second campaign. Because this is the one from Vox Machina is Taldore, and then the one we're going to be in is Wildmount.
Okay.
And
okay.
So like different countries, same planet. Exandria is a planet, and Taldore, where that show takes place in, is a country, and then Wildmount's a different continent.
Okay.
So, I definitely recommend it just to understand like the world a little more, because it's extremely accurate, like to the show and everything. And you'll see like different powers and abilities and stuff like that. So I mean, obviously there's no dice rolling in the show, but it's a really good show. I definitely recommend it. I also just recommend the first campaign because it was really really good. So, and they fight a conclave of dragons, so that's really cool too. So
dragons.
Our continent that we're going to be based off of, I will say, we are taking a little bit of the original D&D lore of the Underdark, from Faerun, which is the original D&D world, and I am incorporating it into Matthew Mercer's Exandria. The Underdark does technically exist in Exandria. It's just different. And there's not a lot of living underground. The Drow Society, which is one of the main societies that exist in the Underdark, have a different kind of society in Exandria. So it's a much better, much less slavery based shit than there is in the original D&D world. Which is the other reason that I've decided to start us off in Exandria, because the original lore of the Underdark is very dark and it's very negative, and D&D in the last few years has been getting into a lot of trouble for that shit. So
really, okay,
yeah, because like I said, the original D&D source books are from many decades ago at this point. And it reflects in some of the ways that they do this. Like for instance, the creatures of the Underdark in the original thing were all considered like pure unadulterated evil. Like there was no wiggle room in it at all. They were slavers, they were like murderers, they were all kinds of shit. But something that people noticed was just like, yeah, the creatures of the Underdark are dark and they're evil. That's kind of weird. And so they kind of started getting in trouble for that. So they branched away from that. And another reason I like Matthew Mercer's shit, because he doesn't do any of that shit. So we are in Exandria rather than Faerun, which is better. And I will send you a new link so we can do the next thing, because I'm going to start talking about D&D more.
All right.
I'm going to start teaching you about D&D.
Water. Do we want to get our desserts?
Yes.
Look at her face.
I didn't even have to put the ears back on to hear that answer.
All right.
Celebrating with ube cheesecake, matcha crepe cake, ice cream sandwiches, and ice cream cupcakes. Easily the best way to celebrate anything.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Gonna go with the middle one.
And what we're celebrating is our first D&D campaign together.
Mm-hmm.
Woo! So excited.
But also Misty's birthday, but mostly D&D.
Misty
it's not
is
actually
happy.
your birthday.
Misty's happy to celebrate her birthday with D&D, like, let me tell you. So, because finally, fucking people who actually want to play D&D and will do it and not just talk about it for 6 months. I figured what I would do first is I would teach you about the world as a whole, like the universe of D&D. And then you guys could choose of other starting character creation right away, or I could give you the lore I've made for the city first, and then we'll go from there.
Okay. I did come up with a name. I did settle on a name, and the fastest I've come up with one in forever. So
okay, that's cool.
She's a writer, people. She doesn't settle on names.
That's fair enough. I have the mythology written out, and having the last names is really helpful because, like, I mentioned them in the lore. So, because everybody's family is actually going to be important, but I'll explain some stuff there. First, I'm going to explain to you the world of D&D, and I'm going to do it in the most dorkiest way possible, and I'm going to do it with a fucking PowerPoint.
Okay.
So...
D&D for dorks like us.
Wait, I need to take a picture of this.
By all means.
This needs to go on Be Immortalized. There we go. Let me do one like this. Perfect. Beautiful.
Awesome.
Before you said PowerPoint, I thought you were going to be like,
I was kind of
in the realm of Harry Potter, like that different houses is where my mind went.
No, you know what I was hoping for? Well, not even though PowerPoint actually is better than that, but what I thought she was gonna say was, and I'm gonna let her finish her drink.
God.
A song a la I'm Just a Bill.
You're not getting me to sing on this podcast or anywhere else. Thank you very much.
No. I thought you had found one on the internet and we're going to
I was going to show
regale
you a video.
us that way. No, I didn't think you were going to sing.
I think the only way she'd sing is if we do another like Japanese karaoke thing.
Oh my god.
Good fucking luck getting me to do karaoke. Let me tell you. I would genuinely have to be drunk, and considering the fact that I've never actually finished a single alcoholic drink in one sitting, you're not going to get me to do
karaoke, it's just we're in our own room, so we're just singing to each other.
You really underestimate how embarrassed I can be about myself. Just even like in any setting.
No, I don't. I absolutely know how embarrassed you can be because I can be that embarrassed.
I appreciate that. Okay, so I'm going to start us with the universe of D&D.
All right.
So This is the different realms. So I don't know if you guys have seen like Doctor Strange's like multiverse, whatever bullshit. You don't really have to understand what I'm about to tell you anyway. But the idea is that there are different planes of existence. There are more planes and realms than these that are on here. These are the basics. Just to get some like point of reference for it. To get from one plane to the other, it differs. There are different ways to get through it. Mostly, it requires highly powerful spells. Though in some cases, places like the Feywild, you might encounter like random gates that you don't actually necessarily want to go through. You just keep walking and you didn't realize there was a gate, and there you go. Very Irish mythology ish. But you've got the mortal plane, which is the plane that pretty much every D&D campaign at the base level is set on. That's where we are. That's like normal one. There's the Feywild, again, very Irish mythology is Shadowfell, and which is our world, but like if Stranger Things is upside down, is like Shadowfell basically. The astral plane, which is like space but worse, and the nine hells, which is like the nine hells but worse.
But worse.
And I'll go through each. I'm gonna go through all of them for you, so you don't have to worry about it. Next slide.
She says that like she's not the one controlling the slides.
Right?
I know. I'm warning you that I'm going to the next slide. So this is Faerun, which is the standard D&D world. This is part of it. This is specifically the Sword Coast. It's the mortal plane, also known as the prime material plane, where most of the common places in D&D exist, where most of those source books and everything are located. It's also the original location of the Underdark.
The mortal realm is the original place of the Underdark?
Yes. So the Underdark exists.
Yes, mortals make everything horrible.
Fair.
The Underdark is everywhere on this map, just underground.
Okay.
It extends underneath everything. It
mountain.
doesn't all connect together, but it does extend underneath everything. Some DMs obviously create their own worlds, so this only applies for like the standard D&D worlds. But it's the standard D&D world is very high fantasy, like Lord of the Rings kind of a style, just with more magic in it and more bullshit, basically.
Question.
Sure.
You said it runs, obviously, the Underdark runs underground and everything. Is that only in Faerun, or does it across the whole world? The Underdark? Is it just this continent, or is the whole world of D&D?
Mostly the whole world.
Okay.
So it can be in different places, different areas. It's not all connected by this. Like some of it is more isolated than others, which I'll talk about more in a bit. But the main central areas of the Underdark are under Faerun itself. The scariest places of the Underdark are under Faerun, I should say.
Got it.
And if you don't remember any of this in 10 minutes from now, it's fine. All of our lore will be put into it. That's fair. That's fair. We'll be going into our own lore. The planet for this...
We both just raise up our notes.
The planet has its own name. It's called Toril, which is Toril. But that's the planet in which Faerun is from. And we have the Feywild.
Ooh, look at how pretty that tree is.
Pretty much everything you've heard about Irish mythology, but on crack. The Feywild is split into 4 main factions, which is related to the courts: summer, winter, fall, and spring.
Fuck the spring court.
The summer and winter are the 2 main courts. All of them are fucked, like just in different ways. The Fey exist here, and then the Eladrin exist here. Different species. The Eladrin are more related to elves. The Fey are just insanity. But those rules of like don't say thank you, don't give them your name, all that, those apply.
Don't eat the food.
Okay. Yeah, those apply with Fey. And so just everything like, because I know Ani knows like a lot about Irish mythology and stuff like, just don't, because they're gonna fuck you over, and that's just all there is to it.
And there's the no lying, but they can get around that with twisty words. Yeah. Yes.
And when I say don't trust anything in the Feywild, I mean don't trust the grass. I don't mean I mean, don't trust the trees, don't trust the wind, don't trust the plants, don't trust like people. If you think you see something, second guess what you see because it's probably not actually there. Like the
Got it.
plants are sentient and dangerous, and it will try to kill you just in like a really fuckery kind of a way.
Mhm.
Also, the main point to know about the Feywild is that time moves differently here. You could spend 100 years here and only a day pass in the mortal realm, or
Makes
the
sense.
other way around. You could spend a day here and 100 years pass in where you're from. Shadowfell. Shadowfell is the dark mirror of the material plane. Now, the Feywild and the Shadowfell are both mirrors of the mortal plane, so they have the same general geographic locations, the same mountains. There's typically cities in the same place. The Feywild is kind of like a bright, on crack, hallucinogenic version of the mortal plane, but Shadowfell is the dark, Stranger Things upside down, twisted world of the mortal plane. It's going to have the same like general like cities, the same mountains and things like that, but it is twisted and fucked, and it is really hard to get out of once you're there. It's considered kind of like an echo. Both of them
Okay.
are just in the mirrors of each other and duplicates of the mortal plane. The creatures that exist here are always twisted, dark creatures. You find a lot of like vampires here and stuff like that. You find a lot of the creatures that have sensitive, like it's a lot of the overlapping of kind of some of the things that you find in the Underdark, but in a more fucked up kind of a way here. So, which is hard to do because the Underdark in the original stuff is fucked. Um, the astral plane, space is scary, and this is why.
Because it wasn't already scary enough.
Yep, it gets a lot worse, let me tell you.
Space, but worse with tentacle
Yep,
monsters.
yep. Think of the astral plane as what would happen if there weren't planets, but rather just floating cities and mountains and other things that just fucking drift around in space. Now, you can breathe in the astral plane. You go to the astral plane, you can breathe, it's fine. But there's no gravity unless you're on one of these floating, like, pieces of civilization. So
Okay.
you have to mentally will yourself from one location to the next to float until you land on something and hope there's gravity on it.
Okay.
There's cities, there's towns, there's mountains, there's all kinds of shit here. But the scariest mind fucking pieces of shit ever do live here. And we're talking Davy Jones from Pirates of the Caribbean, but with psychic abilities. Shit living here. Okay? Like
Space
tentacle,
Cthulhu. Space Cthulhu.
yeah, tentacle face like fuckery is happening right here. Also, floating evil brains that will just eat your brain because it wants to. Um,
Happy
and
normal.
yeah, so it's, and like it all floats around. It's there's a lot of war that also happens here, by the way.
Alright.
And the Davy Jones like space insanity is something to remember because that is something we'll encounter in our own campaign. um then we have the Nine Hells, and let me tell you, easily one of my favorite places in D&D.
Of course it
However,
is.
it is one of the most bizarre places in D&D. Each layer of hell has its own government and its own environment and its own things to be afraid of. Some layers are nicer than others, like the upper layers are less violent than the other layers. All of it's violent, but a little less violent. Some of the layers are hot. 2 of the layers are frozen solid, which would be the 5th and the 8th layer. Don't go to the 9th layer because that's where Osmodeus lives, and he's the devil but on steroids and a little bit of crack. And
Okay.
the pictures, there's the map on the far side that's of all the layers. The next one over is the first layer of hell, the green one is the 3rd layer of hell, and then the last one is the 8th layer of hell, one of the frozen layers. So it's they each have their own like prime devil
Ruler
that's in
type. Okay,
charge of it.
devil.
Yeah, and which there's a difference between demons and devils in D&D, which we can get into later. It's not gonna be anything you fall into. Like there's devils, and they're very much like with the little pointed horns and like the weird like and then there's demons, which is another thing entirely. So and technically they live in 2 different locations, but none of that's going to come into play yet. Okay, getting you an idea of what the world.
Educational.
Yeah, giving you. I was trying to break it down in a way like from the very basics, so you had an idea of what you were looking at. Think of the D&D world as a magical medieval place where technology is in like some of its earliest stages, and we're just starting to see hints of like early steampunk aspects here and there. It's closer to like Da Vinci's style of technology than it is like the Industrial Revolution, basically. Like you're not going to find factories, you're not going to find like machines and stuff like that, but at the same time guns and flying ships exist. So it's a lot of like a weird like mismatch. In Exandria specifically, guns are extremely limited. Mostly to Taldore, where the person who created it is alive and he exists over there. So you probably won't really encounter any guns throughout our time in Exandria, just because they are very limited. In the regular D&D world, a little more common, not a lot. They're still pretty rare. Airships are real. There's different magical spells that are used to lift them up. They're not common, especially in Exandria. But in Exandria, there's a type of stone that you can put underneath your ship, and it levitates it and it lifts it up.
Okay.
So it is an interesting blend of like technology and then like like they're definitely going around in horse and carts,
right?
And there's definitely nothing close to a car existing, but there are
airships.
flying ships. Yeah. So it's kind of weird. Towns. Those pictures are really
probably
good
has
examples.
mud.
Yeah, probably has mud. Like to be fair, probably has mud. Towns in D&D are very they vary greatly in their economic abilities or overall style. You can think of small towns as like small farming based communities, usually fairly poor, small number of like really close knit people, like much smaller than even Forks. We're talking. Like that town in Greece Ani and I were looking at that had like 50 people in it. Yeah.
They pay you to move there.
Yeah. Medium towns probably give you more of like a Tudor vibe. Like if you're looking at these photos, the smallest of the circles underneath where it says probably has mud, like those style of like Tudor-ish kind of houses and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But there's definitely a lot of farming communities and stuff like that, like the upper
It looks like Bell's Village.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in all honesty, you can relate it to that kind of technology too, if it gives you like a good idea. Just no, well, I can't even say no talking furniture. Furniture is dangerous in D&D because it can eat you. So we'll get to that.
It kind of looks like Bree is what it looks like in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. Yeah, and very Lord of the Rings-ish styles happening here because the people who created D&D were inspired by Lord of the Rings to do it. So.
I just watched the extended versions this weekend, so
yeah. So you're definitely
in the headspace.
Lord of the Rings everywhere.
Good. Cities. Now I will say 2 of these cities, which would be the creepy dark-looking one, that's the square, and then the circular white city, both of those are Exandria, and they both exist in the world we're going to be in. Mm-hmm. The upper one's just like a general one. But cities in D&D is where shit really gets questionable in terms of technology and like capabilities. D&D cities can be more normal, like what you would expect like medieval London would look like, or like what maybe like ancient Greece but kind of on crack would look like, and maybe like a little bit of bizarre floating stuff here and there. But they can have airship ports and constructs, which are like steampunk style robots. They do have running water, and even hot water, like in cities and things like that. There are like public bathhouses that are common, especially in cities. And any inn that you encounter in cities is going to have like basic normal style bathrooms and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Now, when I say on crack, I do mean like if you look at this bottom brownish photo right here, mm-hmm. This is a city called Drusar. Drusar is a floating city. It has 4 spires, and they're all connected by giant bridges into the center ones. It's not a completely accurate photo right here, but it is a floating city. And so technology is a little questionable. It is a float, like they have metal cables and everything. They have like those not a ski lift, but like those they take you up the side of a mountain and you sit in it.
More of the gondola kind
Yeah,
of thing.
the gondolas to take you around from spire to spire and things like that too. This one is located in a different continent than we'll be starting on. It's on one of the southern continents, but it does exist, and it is a post calamity kind of a thing. So it's part of modern technology that we have. Though Drusar exists as a pre-calamity accident, as there was something floating there before, and the gods clashed, and it kind of broke apart, and this is what's left of it.
Okay.
The white city that you see to the right is called Amon. It is the capital of Taldore, where the Legend of Vox Machina is set. It's a giant fucking castle. It's very more like traditional style fantasy of a city. But it is a massive ass city. So they are capable of sustaining cities of like 1 million plus people. But that's just kind of the general idea of what you get out of like D&D cities and things like that. Floating cities and floating islands are real. So those exist. There's moving cities. You won't see them super often, especially because that will tie into some of the lore and the history that you guys will learn throughout the campaign of like, because your characters I specifically have made because they're from the Underdark, of not knowing very much about the surface world. So you're going to learn about these things as we go, just like that. So it's a way of me telling you a lot of the lore and stuff like that of the world without info dumping it all on you.
Works for me.
We're not going to have a whole history class. I give you a 9-minute video to get an idea rather than a history class. You'll learn it as we go, but I did do that on purpose. So, how common you see floating cities and islands and stuff like that does like depend on who's DMing it. I have no idea if I'm going to add any, but they exist, and there you go. Some of them float around like the planet. Some of them stay put. Some of them, like Drusar, are chained, so they don't go anywhere. But they do exist.
Currency.
So we have D&D currency, and overall, you don't have to like know it 100%, but because I'll show you the currency and I'll give it to you as we go through the campaign. But these are what the currencies look like. On the right, there's copper, silver, gold, electrum, and platinum, with platinum being the most expensive. However, what you'll work most commonly with is gold.
Okay.
And so gold, if I was to give you 100 gold, that is more money than a common person will see in several years, because the common people are fucking poor, and that's just all there is to it. So, but if that's when you start paying for magical items and stuff like that. If it's going to cost more, it better be worth it, and it's probably going to have magic in it. But if I tell you an inn for the night is like 5 silver, or 2 or 3 nights it's a couple gold, that's about reasonable. But there's like charts and stuff like that, and I can always send you guys like the gold to like silver to copper ratios too. So, and I'll walk you guys through that as we go. And let me know when you're done copying it down. I'll move to the next one. You're good.
Please hold.
Yeah, no problem.
We want to be good students.
That's fine by me. I don't mind. I love teaching D&D.
Too bad that can't be an actual like course
Profession?
in a school,
right?
You know what? That would actually be a cool gig, because I'm
I
sure
could be
there's
a professional dungeon master though.
Yeah, I mean, but I'm like I think like I'm sure there's plenty of people who just really want to learn how to play, but they don't have anybody, or think they don't have anybody.
I am entirely self-taught on how to play this. I did not have somebody teach me how to do this. It took me a very long time to learn. Which, by the way, anybody listening to this, don't at me if I get something incorrect. I'm gonna call it homebrew. Don't at me. I am self-taught in my D&D ways, so. And as the DM, whatever I say fucking goes. So, like, deal with it.
Exactly.
We're good.
We're good.
Okay. Governments. Really, for the governments, just think old school. We got kings, queens, lords, ladies. Having mayors in town is common. Having councils instead of like lords and stuff like that, it's not unheard of. more often than not, you're going to find some kind of like old style European royalty kind of a thing in larger places.
Okay.
Cities are probably just like an appointed leader situation, but any
Small
like
town type thing.
yeah, like small town's gonna have like might have like a local like this person's kind of important and we trust him, so there you go. Mostly in the larger cities. One of the places in Wildmount, which is the continent we're gonna start in, is the Dwindalian Empire, and so they have like their own like king situation, emperor, whatever kind of situation. Taldore, where the Legend of Vox Machina set, had a king, and they switched to a council later. So none of it's really all that unheard of.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're gonna get into where we're from, the Underdark. This is the Underdark.
Look at those
There's
pretty
a
purple lights.
there's a long, drawn out history of the Underdark for the most part. We're not super going to focus on the Faerun origins of the Underdark because they are different from Wildmounts. The Faerun versions of the Underdark are dark, but not in a way that any of us would actually enjoy. Like the original lore for the Underdark is a lot of death, slavery, shit like that. We're not dealing with that. Like it's not even entirely true now, like in present D&D, but we will not be using that. We will be using Matthew Mercer's version of the Underdark, which removes most of that.
All right.
So, and we have our own lore for our own city, which is great because I did make that. I'm honestly completely happy to tell you about the original lore of the Underdark if you guys ever want to hear about it. None of it's really all that happy, but like we can. So for one of the purposes of not super overwhelming all of you guys with information, just gonna focus like on the basics of the Underdark. So basically, the Underdark is a massive expanse of cave systems that exist underneath nearly every surface of the continents, and that's true for both Faerun and for Exandria. Kind of think of like mole people, but with like Journey to the Center of the Earth. So like it's got its own ecology and stuff like that, but it's definitely like a weird cave system that exists underneath everything. The cave system is extremely expansive.
Okay.
But a lot of the systems in the tunnels don't connect to one another. So like you'll have like these giant massive cave expansions over here and there might be a city in it and like all these like areas, but it doesn't connect to the one that's probably like 10 miles north of it for whatever
Gotcha.
reason. So
would you have to go up to go over, or
more likely, yeah, unless there's
Mhm.
because the Underdark, which I'll get into more in a second, is split into 3 layers. It's the upper dark, the middle dark, and the deeper dark. I think I have it written down somewhere, but there's 3. I know it's the upper dark and the middle dark. It's one main
Like
thing
the
to know.
Avatar world.
It is. It's super fucking dark all the time. One thing I will say is everything that lives in the Underdark is either blind or has extremely good dark vision. We all fall into that second category. It has some very interesting elements to that in that there's bioluminescent plant life. You can think of the Avatar movie at night where everything glows, including like mushrooms and moss and stuff like that. There's not a whole lot of plant life here, but what does is very bioluminescent. There's a lot of like glowing mushrooms, some sentient mushrooms and stuff like that that grow in different places as well. It's
Do
not
any of the creatures glow in the dark?
most of the predators don't for predatory purposes.
Right.
Some of the things like the mushrooms, which tend to get eaten more than they do anything else, yes.
Okay.
Weather related things like don't take place. Like there's no rain here. Like it's not gonna snow here or anything like that. However, there are bodies of water, like full blown lakes and saltwater oceans. So you definitely come across all of that. And at no point can you really see the sky. Most of the people that live in the Underdark will never have seen the sky before.
Well, we are underground, so it makes sense.
True. These are some different locations in the Underdark. The one in the top right hand corner is an ocean. The one on the far left is one of the like mushroom kind of I want to say mushroom gardens, but they're not like cultivated in any way. They just grow there.
Spires.
Yeah. And then the very bottom right hand one is one of the largest drow cities that there are, and drows are dark elves. And
That's your people.
it is my people, and but not these are OG drow people, and they ain't cool. So you don't want to deal with these people. We have, I would tell you the name for it, but it's about 13 letters long. So I'm not gonna do that. But I can 14 letters long. But it's the upper dark, the middle dark, and the lower dark. And
I'm calling you the deeper dark. Sounds cooler.
That's fair. The upper dark is 3 miles under the surface. It's a labyrinth of caves, tunnels, and you separate it by direction: north dark, south dark, things like that. It's also where a lot of civilizations tend to exist, just because it's the deeper you go, the worse people get. The middle dark is located between 3 and 10 miles below the surface. Some of the larger cities exist here, but they're not anything you probably want to encounter. In the lower dark, it's 10 miles under the surface and below, and this is where the absolute evil exists. It's where the worst possible things you can come across, including part of our backstory, exists.
Cool.
All right. And that, ladies, is what I have for this, because I didn't want to hit you with too much. I will say, when we make the characters, I have a second one. I'm not going to go through this one with you. I'm going to send it to you for your reference, because when we make our characters, it's going to be a lot of information, and I wanted you to have this to reference later if you needed to look up any of the things that I said. So I did make this, but this is just something I'm going to send to you later. I will, however, this is Wildmount. This is where we're going to start. And this will end up being provided to you guys as an actual map later as a part of the game. You'll get a map of like the whole place and everything like that. But this is basically what you're looking at for the most part. The continent in which that TV show Vox Machina takes place to the far west of here.
Okay.
It's this next continent over. But it's a very large and very expansive continent. It's got a lot of different type of, like environments and all that stuff. But this is the basics of what you're going to look at. You don't have to worry about literally any of that right now. I just wanted to show it to you guys so you had a better idea of what you were looking at. So, but it's split into about 3 powers of the Dwendalian Empire, which is most of this, and then the Xhorhas, which is to the right of this, on the other side of this mountain range, and then little pieces of it, which is the Uthernians, and you won't meet a lot of those because nobody ever does. So, not something you super have to worry about. I don't have anything to share visually else right at this second, but I do have something a little interesting. Now, do you want to do character creation and then I give you the origin myth of where we are, like our city, or do you want the origin myth first?
I say origin myth.
It's like a page. It's not that big of a deal. Like, it's a page.
All right, origin myth and then character development.
And then so I'll
so we have all the like unbound time.
To create our characters.
Okay, I'm going to do the city I haven't named yet because I figured we could name it together. So I will be saying the city of blank at some point. But I wrote, and because the idea of our city is that it's a place in the Underdark, but I didn't want to use any of the existing Underdark. So I made our city in like a pocket of caverns that is isolated from the other areas of the Underdark. So our place, our people, don't really have any contact with the rest of the Underdark, and not a lot of contact with the surface either. And I'll go into why.
Okay.
But at the moment, I'm going to give you a dramatic reading of the original mythology of the city of blank.
I love it.
So,
The nameless city.
The nameless city.
The nameless city.
I mean, we can just call it the Nameless City.
I mean, I kind of like that,
Me too.
actually.
Sure, we can do
All
that.
right, calling it the Nameless City.
Yeah, no contact, no nothing.
Right?
Nobody knows anything about it. I think that's.
It works perfectly.
Are you replacing
Yes.
blank?
That's exactly what I'm doing. Ani, the last name that you chose was Nicor, right?
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure I pronounce it right. Because I inserted your guys' last names into this too.
Cool.
Yay.
All right, one dramatic reading. You ready?
Yes.
Welcome to the Underdark. The Nameless City was created generations ago by families who were fleeing the calamity of the surface, as the wars between the prime deities and the betrayer gods rendered Exandria wrought with destruction. Seeking shelter beneath the surface world, where they expected to find safety, the refugees instead found horrors untold. Upon reaching the subterranean network of caves known collectively as the Underdark, the fleeing families were met with creatures of immense strength, an absence of compassion, and the terrifying ability to control the mind. The Illithids, or mind flayers, of the subterranean Lower Dark quickly proved that none would be safe, and with legions of mindless creatures under their control, the Illithids marched upon the fleeing peoples of the surface, capturing or killing all they came across. In order to combat this oncoming army, 5 families came together to create a device to combat the Illithid's power. 5 members of the Crystal Catchers, a family of deep gnomes, came together to construct a machine. 5 Duergar of the Silent Hammer family mined and offered a powerful dragonite crystal that would act as the machine's arcane center. The 3rd family, the Drow Den of Telena, created the magical circle that would be used to imbue the machine with its magical spell through 5 of their most talented spellcrafters. The 4th family, a clan of vampires and Damphir kin known as the Kel, called upon the power of the moon through the Moonweaver's blessing and fueled the machine with the moon's unwavering magic. The 5th and final family, tieflings known as the Nicor, made a different kind of contribution. The magic of the Moonweaver's gift through Katha, the largest of the 2 moons, was too strong for the crystal to take on directly. The Nicor, gifted with mages of ancient power, were supposed to come together as 5 and act as the conduit from which magic from the moon Katha would enter into the crystal powering the device. But before the transfer of power can be completed, the Illithids broke past the defenses and attacked. Using their psionic abilities to overtake the minds of 4 of the family's mages, drug them from the spell circle, leaving only 1 mage who was strong enough to resist their psychic control. Running out of time, the family leader and the only remaining mage within the circle used themselves as the only magical conduit to finish powering the device, taking on the full force of the moon's magic and sacrificing their own life in the process. But the sacrifice was not to be in vain, and the result was the activation of the device and with it the creation of a magical barrier whose spell would force out and keep at bay all beings with psychic abilities, pushing back and ending the threat of the deepest, most dangerous creatures the Underdark had to offer. The barrier producing a mind-numbing wavelength of sound that resonates with those with psychic abilities and makes it impossible for them to near the barrier's influence. This barrier, to this day, prevents the Illithids or those under their control from being able to approach the city itself, and thus the 5 families and their creation were able to protect their new homeland. Over the generations, these families rose to power as more refugees from the surface came to harbor within the barrier's walls, and eventually the Nameless City was created. Now, these 5 original families rule over the city in the form of the Dragonite Syndicate, the leader of which has always been the acting head of the 5th family, in honor of the final mage's sacrifice for the creation of the device and the protection of the city.
I'm sorry, does that mean that I'm ruler of these people?
No, your father is.
My father, alright.
Holy shit, Misty. Can we get we get a copy of this?
Yeah, sure.
No, because it's fucking badass. I want it.
Thank you.
I also want to, again, I want to read
I
it.
want to read this book that we're creating.
That's fair. That's very fair. Yep,
Holy shit. And I mean that is with the highest of praise.
Thank you. It makes a
You
lot
and
more
Jeannie are
sense.
trying to write a book for ages, and this one just writes a story in like a fucking week.
I know.
It's a lot of fun. I spent a couple days trying to figure out like the origins of the city because I also had to tie it in with what's going to happen next for our characters. And because they lived in their entire lives in the Underdark. And I had to give a reason why. I also, Ani wanted to be royalty, so I made her royalty. So, all three of our families are from these original 5 families.
All right.
Okay? Ani's family has and always has been the leaders of the Dragonite Syndicate. And they are the tiebreakers when ties come along, you know, in the syndicate and when they make decisions and everything like that. The Crystal Catchers are a deep gnome family. Gnomes are known for like their crafting and their ability to create like machines and things like that. The Silent Hammer family are Duergar, which are they're dwarves, but like underdark dwarves. And I can show you guys pictures of those kinds of things. The third family, the Drow family, that's where my character is from. They're very book-based people in that they do a lot of heavy research, but they are one of the main families in charge with the protection of the outer walls of the city. The Kell family, which is Erin's family, and they're a clan of vampires and Damphir. So Erin, one of your parents would be a vampire, the other one would not be. You can really just pick whatever one you want it to be, as long as it's not like a bird person or something like that. Like as long as it looks like more humanoid than not, you're fine. But one of your parents would be a vampire, the other one wasn't. I'll let you decide like how that's gonna go.
Okay.
But one of your parents would be or it doesn't even have to be the leader of the family. You like if you want it to be the leader of your family to be your aunt or whatever, like that's fine too. I'll leave most of like the family crafting stuff to you guys. You just have to tell me names and stuff like that so we can work. Ani's family is a little more specific because there's a very particular role that they're going to fill, so I'll get a little more specific with you. Ani, if you make yourself siblings, that's fine. They just have to be younger than you.
That's fine
for that purpose.
Oh.
And your
she
father
has to be the heir.
Yeah.
Yes.
Gotta be the oldest in the heir.
And Ani, your father is the one who's currently the head of the syndicate.
Okay.
Just so you're
Got
aware.
it. Daddy.
Yes. So then the 5th family, obviously, that's Ani's family. They've been in charge. They've always been in charge. I actually have lore for Erin's family. A little more lore. So I mentioned the Moonweaver, which is the goddess whose abilities come directly from the moon. That's her symbol is an upside down moon. She's a real goddess in D&D, so like I have a bunch of shit I can send you about her. But she is where your magic comes from. She is where the magic of your entire family comes from. They have long since been able to get their magic from the Moonweaver and have had her blessing for a very long time.
And how are we going to screw that up?
She enjoys chaos, though.
Okay.
Moonweaver is a chaotic good deity of moonlight and autumn. And she also really enjoys illusions and misdirection. So when I picked a god for like part of the lore, I'm just like somebody who enjoys chaos and not like devout religious anything. So
okay,
you said it was moon and fall.
Autumn,
yeah.
Autumn, moon and autumn.
Yeah. So
which is the most beautiful aesthetic I think she could have chosen for me.
Right?
I thought you'd enjoy that. So
she knows you already so well.
I know. It must be your fault.
I'm giving all the credit to her because she's Miss Researcher, so she can pinpoint us.
Yeah,
drop
that's
of a pin.
To be fair, like even before we started talking, Ani told me a lot about you.
My point.
I must tell everyone about Bestest.
All good things, by the way, just so we're clear.
All
All good things. There are 2 moons in Exandria, and
your she needs to weave them.
Fair enough. However, you've only ever seen one of them. So, and which is Catha, which is spelled Catha.
Okay.
Now, but you mean only the Kells have seen the one moon, or like everyone in the Underdark has only seen the one moon?
No,
Good question.
Erin is one of the only people to have seen. So nobody in the Underdark goes to the surface, with very few exceptions, and that's scouting parties that get sent out there. Now, my particular character, her name is Jazara, and she is a daughter of a drow family. Is considered a den. They're a matriarchal family. Her grandmother is the one who's in charge. They live a very long time because they're elves. And her grandmother is the one who's in charge. Her grandmother's a bitch. Jazara is a half drow. She's not a full drow, and that has a lot of negative connotations in drow society of being a half drow. Her mother is the drow. Her mother is currently not here, but nobody's really sure where she is. But as such, because Jazara could not really live up to a lot of the expectations that her family had, they weren't really great anyway, because she's a half drow, so she's never really going to live up to any of them anyway. She kind of ignored the more spellcrafty based areas of the family, and she got involved in the protection of the city side of it, and from a very young age trained to be a fighter and to protect the city itself from Illithids and other things like that. But as such, and because they didn't really care so much because she was only a half drow, she was one of the people sent to the surface a lot. Full drow have extreme light sensitivity, so they have a really hard time going to the surface. That are nearly blind in real daylight. As a half drow, she doesn't have that problem, so it was easier for them to send her up there. What she encounters along the way, nobody really cared. But as such, she's been to the surface where the moon is, and where you can actually physically see it. And I have kind of created the idea that all three of our characters are friends because they're about the same age and everything like that. And the Nameless City just ain't that big.
I can't wait to like read or come across or play out our origin story.
I know.
Of how we all meet.
I will tell you part of what's going to happen just so it doesn't catch you guys off guard when we first do it. Because we'll be spending some time in the Underdark, but we're going to spend a lot of time on the surface because I'm doing some shit. So,
okay. Shenanigans are en route.
Some real dangerous shit. So we're gonna. But I've got the idea that our families all know each other, but you and I, all three of us, know each other a lot. And we've known each other for most of our lives. And Jazara, as one of the only ones who's gone to the surface, has seen an unobstructed view of the moon. I've also put it because that original family of Erin's family called upon the power of the moon, did it through a crack that is in the top of the Underdark, where you can see the moon. However, since then, a tunnel has been built directly over to it, leading from the crack down to the ground. And at the base of that, where only the people who are there at the base can see it, is where Erin's family lives.
Okay.
Because they're the people of the Moonweaver, and they get their power from the moon, and they're the only ones who see it. But you see it from a very tiny, like, sliver, so you can only see it for, like, a certain amount of time every night.
And probably at different parts of the year, it gets a little harder to see.
Yes. And because
spells
of that,
come into great effect on that.
At one point, because Jazara does travel to the surface and knows how to get there, she's taken, at the very least, Erin, probably both of you, to the surface at some point, and so you can see the moon. That's how you discovered there's more than one moon. And you're the only one in your family who has seen the second moon. So
I love it.
You may play with that as you like, but you are aware that there are two moons. Also, by the way, second moon is red and it's haunted. So
does it have a name, or do I not know that yet? I just know that it's there.
You wouldn't know it. It does have a name, but you would not know it.
Okay.
So I did send you an article on the Moonweaver, so you can look at that, Erin. But yeah, so you know there's a second moon. You don't know it's haunted. You do know it's red, and you don't know its name. Things we'll learn as we go. So also the map I showed you guys of Wildmount, you guys have no clue what that looks like. Neither does my character. Not a fucking clue. Never really been that far away from one of the entrances into the Underdark. Never really explored much of it. But what is directly above you is a frozen wasteland. There ain't a lot of nothing. It's just a lot of mountains and ice and some trees, and that's about it.
Mm-hmm.
I will be happy to send you guys the origin story of the place when we are done this evening.
Mm-hmm.
A little more lore of just understanding. There's a couple things you guys are gonna have to pick. You don't have to pick it right now, but you will have to pick it later. Ani, your character mostly deals in spell casting. But if you want a physical weapon, I do recommend having one just as a backup. You can pick whatever kind of physical weapon you want. I'll send you a list of available because what you can have depends on what you're qualified to have as a
Okay.
spellcaster. Okay. It doesn't have to be anything like prominent and right up the front that you use all the time, but you're gonna have to carry something. So, I mean, you don't actually have to carry something if you don't want. But,
No, I'm smart. I want to have an actual weapon along with my magical weapons.
okay, because I was gonna say punching somebody in the face in D&D really ineffective.
Yeah,
Super ineffective.
No, I'm not
Because,
gonna
like,
roll for that and then go with a 2 and be like, well, I'm fucked.
it averages at
Exactly.
it is. And I will say, as a spell cat, as a sorcerer, your physical like punching capabilities not great.
Not great.
So you average at 1 point of damage per punch in the face. So don't go for that route. Erin,
I'm weak.
your character is a very interesting middle ground between her character and my character. You have a shit ton of magic, and we are on a spectrum here, and I did do it on purpose. Ani has the greatest well of magical abilities and powers and the widest range of magical abilities and powers. My character has very limited and very few magical powers and is definitely more of a physical combat based character. Cool. You, lovely Erin, sit at the direct intersection of both. You have a shit ton of magical abilities, but your punching in the face is a lot more effective than Ani's punching in the face. So you also
effective face punching.
Yes, you are also capable of being the most armored character, and so like the most.
So I'm the tank, kind of.
No, I am the tank.
She's the tank.
Okay,
I'm gonna be the tank.
See, I know what these words mean sometimes, but then
that's fair.
I use them incorrectly. We'll see.
You also have the greatest amount of healing capabilities because Ani has none. She has no healing capabilities.
Great.
I have very limited healing capabilities, but I do have some. And you
for
have
all that magic power that I wield, I cannot heal.
Nope.
Don't get greedy.
That's the counterbalance. Let me tell you, the attack spells you have do fucking more damage than almost anything else. But you have no healing capability. You also have very limited physical capabilities too. You're the squishiest character, my dear.
I'm the squishy one.
You are the squishy character. Erin is the most defense capable character. She's gonna be really fucking hard to hit, and when she hits you, it's gonna hurt. So my character, which is great because she has the most healing capabilities too. So
she get hit, won't even get a point off, and then I'll get hit with like a dirt in the face, and I'll be like, help!
Yeah, pretty much. That's exactly the way it is. My character is the one that is she's an archer, so her capabilities are long range. A lot of our capabilities are long range. But because there's only 3 of us, that's a good thing. Try to keep the enemies away from you. But my character will have the most hit points going on, so she's going to be the one standing between you and anything that comes at you. So specifically,
that's gonna knock that arrow and like just splatter
and
them
just go to town. Yeah, that's exactly the way I created her. So I have the idea that all of our characters know each other. They've known each other for a really long time.
Get behind me.
Erin can create how she knows everybody, however you'd like. Jazara is personally training to learn to become as best of a physical fighter as she can because her goal is to one day be a part of Ani's guard, like her personal guard. So
okay, cool. Just technical question because that's awesome.
Of course.
But how do we spell Jazara? Because I'm writing this down.
That's fair. Jaz, and then there's a little
apostrophe.
Yeah, there you go. And then a capital Z, and then lowercase ARA.
Okay. All right. And what did we decide on? Valkyria. Sorry.
You're fine.
You're good.
Valkyria sounds more like a drag queen.
That's fair. It's gonna and when we do play the D&D, I'm going to say I'm not gonna say Ani. I'll say Valkyria. So
right.
I'll call you guys by your names. And if I fuck up your name, say something. Because I think I fucked up the way I said it just now. So
we're not playing it. Nobody exists.
Yeah, no one exists yet.
Fair. But Erin, you're more than welcome to figure out how you know Ani, how you know me, like whatever you'd like to do.
It's gonna be fun seeing like 3 different like origin stories.
Yeah. So
This
I've
is
got.
where I'm gonna get lost in the weeds, though, is because I'm gonna be like, "Ooh."
Yeah, same. I'm
That's
like, fuck, how did I meet everybody?
That's fair. I could pull you out of it and give you like if you want like a little more of a limitation of like what does this mean or how does my family fit? Your family, Erin, has a lot of responsibility in the city. All of the 5 families have their own responsibilities within the city. Ani's family's mostly in charge. My family is in charge of a lot of the defense. Your family, very specifically, as I can pull this up because I wrote it down already. Because I gave your family some shit they got to deal with. You're responsible for the religious shit because most of the people there do worship the Moonweaver. The spiritual side of things, the if like when people get hurt, you guys are the only people with the ability to do anything about it. So it doesn't matter what if it's a curse, if it's an injury or whatever. You're also responsible for dealing with a lot of the disagreements. So you guys are mediators in a lot of ways. Which is
Can
great
I ask
because
a question?
Sure.
On the responsible for the religious stuff, are we talking more like Catholic Church stuff or Egyptian
Pantheons type
Egyptian
thing?
The entirety of the no church shit. Like you
well,
don't
I
have to
mean,
worry
just
about
like the
church
strict religious, or is it like where you're like the head of the cults of like the gods and goddesses and stuff?
For the Moonweaver specifically, it would be much more of an open interpretation. So it's much less of a strict thing. You guys hold the only place in the city that you can see the moon, so you might host like events and things like that, festivals and things like that.
You guys
So
hold like the harvest or the equinoxes, the
solstices,
solstices, yeah.
The only place you can see the moon. So like there's it's a device that has been made to go up to the ceiling so that you can block off the moon, and then you might be able to open it during certain times of the year so people can see it and stuff like that too. So you're welcome to play with that however you'd like. You just have to tell me at some point. So the other family,
what point would that be? So I can give myself a timeline.
we are if you guys want to play sooner than later, I think Ani, the next thing that we're recording is Goblet of Fire.
Yes, Goblet is next.
So is that next Tuesday? Is the idea?
Yes, that's next Tuesday. If
and
we watch
you're
all
in that too.
So we'll either split Goblet of Fire into 2 different days, or we watch it all in one sitting. And so the first D&D episode would be 2 weeks from now. Okay. So 2 Tuesdays from now. So, and I will say the very first thing, this way you have an idea of what's going on. One of the first things we're going to be doing is escaping the Underdark because the Illithids are back.
All right.
And Ani, your dad gives us a really good reason to run. So
I don't like that, but okay.
You fucked up. Did you get another tattoo?
To be fair,
he still hasn't noticed.
I know. Did you screw up again? God.
To be fair, it's not at all Ani's fault.
Okay. No, I just like to give her shit.
That's fair. I do too. It's fun. But it's not Ani's character's fault that we have to run. I intend to.
It's yours. It's your fault.
Absolutely.
You fucked up a ritual. Now we gotta go.
I'll tell you this. That way you guys don't have to panic too much about like your origin stories and all that, because we can develop some of it as we go. We're gonna start it off with the escape from the Underdark because it is under attack. Ani's dad gives us an extremely good reason that we need to leave, and we need to leave to the surface. So it is being invaded, and we got to get the fuck out of Dodge.
Now, how old are we when all this is happening?
Oh, that's a good question. Yes, that's gonna.
Is this gonna be? I mean, it's us, so it's gonna be explicit. So, but
well, we're not teenagers by any stretch of the imagination.
Like, are we in our youth? Like, are we 17? Are we in our 20s? Like,
so we're all a different
Should
species.
we be married by now? But we're all disappointing everybody.
I think we're on the verge of that age.
Okay.
I'm
so
27.
Each of our characters.
I have no prospects, and I'm
Lord help us all. Um,